Radio button and checkbox controls each provide a list of items for the user to choose from. The difference between the two is a programming standard that radio buttons are mutually exclusive while checkboxes are not. That means for radio buttons, we can only choose one of the list of items. If I select one radio button, the other radio buttons are unselected. Whereas with checkboxes, I can check multiple ones simultaneously. The prefix for Hungarian notation is RAD, or I also use RB for radio button. And for Hungarian notation on the checkbox, it's usually CHK or CBX. Those are both commonly used. Key properties for each of those is the checked property. That determines whether the radio button or the checkbox has been selected. Here I have an application with 4 directions, north, east, south, west, as radio buttons. And again, these are mutually exclusive. Once I choose one, anything else that was selected becomes unselected. And I'm handling in one handler the CheckedChanged event for all 4 of those radio buttons. And in Visual Basic, we can simply get the text of sender. That's probably the simplest way to do it. And that's going to be the direction that we want to go. So dim direction as string equals sender.text. That'll be the north, east, south, or west. And then LBO direction.text, that's the output below those radio buttons, which says, using an interpolated string, it's going to report out you want to go in wherever the direction is. Very straightforward. On the right-hand side, we have a series of checkboxes, and I want to create a list of the items that have been checked. So my output here is your bucket list includes go skydiving, run the Boston Marathon, and take a trip to Antarctica. And the code here, we're again handling the CheckedChanged event for all 4 of those. I'm going to create a string called bucket list and have it equal nothing selected. Because it's possible the user selects none of those, and then we want to have our output say nothing selected. However, we're going to go through each one of these one at a time, and I'll use a ternary expression here. So bucket list plus equals if CHK skydiving.checked, if that's selected, so they've checked that skydiving one, then we're going to add to the bucket list a comma space go skydiving. Otherwise, if it's not selected, we'll add nothing, just a quote, quote, null string. Then we'll do the same thing with CHK Aurora. They want to see the Aurora Borealis. We're going to add a comma space see the Northern Lights. Otherwise, a null string. If they checked Boston Marathon, we'll add a comma space run the Boston Marathon. Otherwise, a null string. And then finally is the Antarctica, and we'll add a comma space take a trip to Antarctica, or a null string if it's not checked. Then I'm going to add a period at the end. So bucket list plus equals period. Now, if they've selected something, we want to get rid of that nothing selected, and we'll replace it with your bucket list includes. So we use the bucket list.replace command to do that. We need to remember these are immutable methods, so we need to reassign that back to bucket list. So it's bucket list equals bucket list.replace. I'm going to dim IDX as an integer, and that's going to be the last index of the comma. So if they've added multiple items, we're going to find the index of that last comma. And then if it's not a -1, we're going to insert after that comma a space and, so that our output reads your bucket list includes go skydiving, run the Boston Marathon, and take a trip to Antarctica. Just trying to be grammatically correct here. And then we'll place the text of bucket list into LBO bucket list.text. Radio buttons and checkboxes are a pretty common use in user interfaces, especially with data forms. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.